Hey everybody, Miss Andre here. Happy Monday. Or Tuesday, I should say. Oh my gosh. You have off so long from school, you tend to forget the days of the week. But today's Tuesday, so happy Tuesday. Hoping you all are having a great day, enjoying whatever you're choosing to do. Um, Speaking of forgetting, the book I chose for tonight's read aloud is one of my favorites, or at least my favorite character, SpongeBob SquarePants in WhoBob, WhatPants. Uh-oh. It seems that SpongeBob may be a little forgetful and not be able to remember things so well. Why do you think? What do we see here that happened to him on the picture? He's got a big old bump on his head, right? So I think that might have affected his memory and he can't remember anything, right? Friends, where he lives, his own name. That's why it says WhoBob, WhatPants. Do you know of anybody that may have fallen and kind of lost their memory also? Maybe it's for a short period of time. I know sometimes it usually happens to older people. So, like your grandparents or your great grandparents. Um, it's called Alzheimer's. And over a period of time, they lose more and more of their memory. And it's really sad to see, but it is something that happens to not everybody. But also, if you do fall and hit your head hard enough, sometimes you can have temporary memory loss where you forget things, right? So it's important that if you ever fall and hit your head, you go to the doctor and get checked out because you want to make sure that everything is okay. All right, so let's see how this happened, okay? Alrighties. Good morning, Gary, sang SpongeBob. Isn't life great? He asked, picking up Gary and hugging him a little too tightly. Gary let out a loud growl, right? So do you think he was happy about being hugged so tightly? No, right? Later on his way out, SpongeBob bumped right into his best friend Patrick. And what happened? Well, it looks like Patrick might have had some sort of cake on that plate, right? Because we see the candle. When he bumped into Patrick, it knocked the cake off the plate and it got all over Patrick, right? So how do you think Patrick is feeling right now? Probably very angry also, right? That was a cake for my mom's birthday, he said. He continued, pointing to his chocolate-covered belly. Thanks a lot. Now please go away. Oh gosh, so we see two of his friends not very happy with him, right? First it was Gary, he squeezed him too tight, and now Patrick got the cake all over him. Right? Sometimes this happens. Sometimes we do things, right? Not on purpose, right? SpongeBob purposely didn't run into Patrick and say, "Ooh, let me knock that cake all over him," right? It was an accident. And the same thing with hugging his friend Gary, right? He was just trying to act normal. So sometimes we do things that we don't mean to, and accidents can happen, right? And then mom or dad, or your brother or your sister, or your friends might get angry at you, right? Has that ever happened to you? Can you ever think of a situation where you did something and you thought you were just being nice and maybe it upset the other person? I'm sure you can think of a few, right? Okay. He knew Sandy would be happy to see him. But as he walked into her tree dome, he tripped and splashed the water from his helmet all over her brand new robot. So, how do you think she feels? Ooh, look at her face. Very angry, right? He destroyed her robot. Sandy's face turned red with anger. Just go, she said. Has that ever happened to you? Maybe you were building something with the blocks, or you were doing a puzzle, right? And then your brother or your friend comes around and by accident knocks it over or tears it down or falls into it, right? I know this happens at school a lot and you guys get very upset by it, even though it's an accident. SpongeBob frowned and walked away. Next, he visited his old good friend, Squidward. But Squidward just slammed the door in SpongeBob's face. We all know Squidward likes to keep to himself. SpongeBob felt even worse than he had before. Right, so nobody really wants to hang out with him. They're all getting angry at him. Right? He's going around, he's trying to be nice, and he's causing all these problems. How would you feel if you were SpongeBob? You'd probably be really upset and sad, right? There was only one thing left. I'm sorry, there was only one hope left. The Krusty Krab. But as he entered the kitchen, SpongeBob slid across the floor, and knocked Mr. Krabs and his crisp dollar bills right into the fryer. So Mr. Krabs was counting up all that money, and then SpongeBob falls into him, and then all the money goes into the fryer. Got all burned up. So how do you think Mr. Krabs is feeling? Really upset, right? Was it SpongeBob's fault? No, it was an accident, right? He slipped on the floor. If I were you, lad, I'd get as far away from me as possible, Mr. Krabs barked. He's not happy. Miserable, SpongeBob decided it was time to leave Bikini Bottom forever. Goodbye, Bikini Bottom, SpongeBob called out. Goodbye, life as I know it. So why is he leaving Bikini Bottom? Because everywhere he goes, something bad happens, right? And all his friends are mad at him. So he doesn't want to stay there anymore, right? He feels really bad that he keeps hurting his friends. So he's going to leave. That's so sad, right? Do you think he should leave? No, right? I'm sure his friends, he can make it up to his friends somehow, right? Okay, after miles of walking, SpongeBob found himself in an unfamiliar place. There were new sounds and scary creatures. It was dark, and suddenly SpongeBob heard a loud noise. Afraid, he ran away as fast as he could, but as he ran, SpongeBob tripped on a rock and fell down a tall cliff. And what happened? He bumped his head hard on the way down. Okay, so now we know how he got that huge, huge bump on his head. How did he get it? He tripped on a rock and fell off the cliff, right? And he hit his head, and now he's got that big, big, big bump on the top. Meanwhile, back in Bikini Bottom, Patrick was knocking on SpongeBob's door when Sandy appeared. Patrick, where's SpongeBob? She asked. I don't know. I've been knocking on his door for 3 hours. That's a long time, right? Worried, she gave the door a quick karate chop. Right, hiya. Boom! The door came crashing down. Inside, an oversized Gary let out a meow. Why is Gary now so big? Why do you think? Look at the picture here. There's a clue. What is the clue? Why is he so big? Because he ate too much food, right? Look, his bowl is empty. There's crumbs everywhere. He ate way too much. And now he's very fat. Oh boy, cried Sandy. Gary said SpongeBob left a note. All right. So, we're going to see what this note says. It says, to whom it may concern, if you found this letter, that means Gary's food bowl is empty and that it needs to be refilled. It also means it's been approximately 1 year since I've split town and no one's noticed till now. No one needs to worry because I won't bother anyone ever again. Sincerely, SpongeBob. Well, that's so sad, right? So, how do you think his friends feel after they read this note? They probably feel a little sad and bad about the way they treated him, right? It's kind of like if your friend did something to you by accident and then left you a note saying, I mess everything up and now I'm not going to be your friend anymore because I don't want to, make you upset anymore. You would probably feel really bad about getting mad at your friend, right? He's gone. I shouldn't have yelled at SpongeBob, Sandy lamented. I must have made him feel really bad. Me too, said Patrick. We have to find him, said Sandy. Come on, let's start searching. So that's a good friend, right? They're going to try and find SpongeBob. And what do you think they're going to do once they find SpongeBob? They're probably going to apologize for the way they acted, right? Sandy and Patrick checked the Krusty Krab. SpongeBob wasn't there, but there were a lot of hungry customers who wanted their Krabby Patties. Mr. Krabs was really worried. He knew that the Krusty Krab couldn't survive without SpongeBob, right? Because SpongeBob makes awesome Krabby Patties. So without SpongeBob, there's nobody there to make them. That's not good, right? So he's getting all upset. I'm nothing without my number one fry cook, said Mr. Krabs. Squidward, I am ordering you to find him. If you don't, you'll be out of a job forever. If you do find him, this jewel-encrusted egg will be yours to keep. Ooh, that looks really nice, right? A jewel-encrusted egg, said Squidward, looking at the egg. My collection will finally be complete. I am on my way, sir. So he's going to help find SpongeBob so he can get that prize, right? Back in the unfamiliar seas, SpongeBob finally opened his eyes and rubbed the large bump on his head, right? How do you think he's feeling? He's probably in a lot of pain, right? Then he noticed two fish kneeling down, looking at a pile of square pants. He went over to say hello. Okay? So remember, he hit his head really hard. So I wonder how he's going to act. Oh, hello. We were just admiring your clothes, the fish told him. These are your brown pants, aren't they? The fish asked, showing him a pile of brown pants. I can't remember. I don't even know my name, said SpongeBob. All I know is that I hit my head and woke up here. That's too bad. Let's call you, Cheesehead Brown Pants. Cheesehead Brown Pants? What kind of a name is that? Why do you think they're calling him Cheesehead Brown Pants? Well, his head looks like a giant thing of cheese, and he's wearing brown pants, right? Just then, SpongeBob felt something in his pockets. Hey, what's this? He said, pulling out a bottle of bubbles and a blowing wand. No, not bubbles, shouted the new friends, and then they ran away. Why are they so scared of bubbles? Do you know of anybody that's scared of bubbles? I don't either, right? That's silly. I don't know, but they seem very, very scared. SpongeBob started walking. Soon he found himself in New Kelp City. It kind of looks like New York City, right? Grrr. His stomach began to growl loudly. He needed food, but he didn't have a penny in his pockets. There was only one thing to do. So if you don't have money and you need to eat, you need to find a job so you can get money, right? But his fantastic bubble blowing skills made every employer run away in fear. So they're scared of bubbles too. What's going on, guys, with these bubbles, right? I don't understand, thought SpongeBob. Is something wrong with this place, or is it me? So first, the boy and the girl are scared of the bubbles, and now when he tries to get a job, they're scared of bubbles too. I wonder why. Why do you think they're so scared of bubbles? SpongeBob began walking around the city aimlessly. To cheer himself up, he took out his trusty bubbles and began to blow. Bubbles will steady the old nerves, he said to himself. Bloop! Feeling better already. Uh-oh. What happens? Looks like a bunch of bad guys are coming, right? Then, out of the dark shadows, came a group of scary-looking fish. They were big, they were mean, and they didn't want any bubbles on their turf. That's why everybody is scared of the bubbles. That makes sense now, right? They call themselves the Bubble Poppin' Boys. They tried to catch SpongeBob, so he ran away as fast as he could. So now do you understand why the workers didn't want him blowing bubbles and the boy and the girl? Because bubbles will bring these guys out, and they like to pop the bubbles, and they're mean. So everybody is scared of them, right? So that's why they didn't want any bubbles. And now poor SpongeBob is running away from them. Do you think they're going to catch him? I hope not. Then SpongeBob had an idea. He blew the biggest bubble ever and caught the bubble poppin' boys inside. It floated far, far away with them inside, never to return. Wow, that was a good idea, right? So instead of running away, he blew this huge bubble and he caught all of them inside of it. So that had to be a really, really big bubble, right? Okay. Citizens of New Kelp City flooded the streets with bubbles in celebration. They can now blow peacefully, right? Thank you, Cheesehead Brown Pants, the mayor said to SpongeBob. You have restored bubble blowing to the streets. I appoint you the new mayor. Right, the mayor makes all the laws and governs the town, right? So that's a really important job. He's now a mayor. Meanwhile, Sandy, Squidward, and Patrick continued their search. There he is, said Sandy, on the cover of that newspaper. He's mayor of New Kelp City. We've got to get there quick. Oh, so see, they have a clue. They were able to find him now, right? Because they saw his picture as the mayor. Wow. How would you feel if you were SpongeBob, right? You caught the bad guys. You got your picture in the newspaper, and now they made you mayor. Would you be excited? Probably, right? It's really cool. When Sandy, Patrick, and Squidward got there, they were shocked by what they saw and heard. Citizens of New Kelp City, announced SpongeBob over a microphone. I'm not exactly sure what a mayor is, but as long as I'm wearing this hat, it will always be safe to blow bubbles. In New Kelp City, or my name isn't Cheesehead Brown Pants. Cheesehead Brown Pants, said Sandy. Who are you? Said SpongeBob. We're your best friends, said Patrick. Sorry, all I remember is hitting my head, blowing some bubbles, and now poof, I'm the mayor. So how come he doesn't remember them? And how come he doesn't remember his name? Because when he hit his head, he hit it too hard and he lost his memory, right? You must have lost your memory when you hit your head, said Sandy. Come back to Bikini Bottom with us. We're all real sorry we yelled at you, buddy. Oh boy. So do you think he's going to go back to them? Or with them, I should say? Or do you think he's going to stay being the mayor? What would you do? If your friends came back to you and said, hey, we're really, really sorry, would you stay being the mayor or would you go back with your friends? It's a tough decision, right? I'm sorry, replied SpongeBob. I can't leave. I'm late for a very important meeting. And with that, SpongeBob hopped in the mayor's limo, which was waiting for him. Good thing. Who was in the driver's seat? This is the limo he got in. Who's that? It's Squidward, right? Don't just stand there, Squidward said to Sandy and Patrick. Get in! And off they rode back to Bikini Bottom. So they kind of kidnapped him, right? Here he is thinking he was going to go someplace special. And it was Squidward the whole time, right? So that was a good plan for them. So he got kidnapped back to Bikini Bottom. Right? So how do you think he's feeling? Probably confused and a little sad, right? Start frying up them patties, yelled Mr. Krabs cheerfully when he saw SpongeBob coming through the door. I was a fry cook before, said SpongeBob. Yes, lad, the best in the business, replied Mr. Krabs. Well, I'm going back to my job as a mayor, SpongeBob announced, dropping the spatula on the floor. New Kelp City needs me. Right? He doesn't know how to make a Krabby Patty. He lost his memory. He doesn't know how to do it. So he wants to go back to town again. Okay, so let's make a prediction here. What do you think is going to happen next? Do you think he's going back to town? Or do you think his friends will try to keep him in Bikini Bottom? Okay, let's see if you're correct. Mr. Krabs, cried Squidward with delight, I brought back the #1 fry cook. You've got to pay up. All right, a deal is a deal, said Mr. Krabs, handing the golden egg over to Squidward. As Squidward walked toward the door, staring at his prized possession, he tripped on the spatula SpongeBob had dropped. Uh-oh. His precious egg went soaring through the air and hit SpongeBob smack on top of his head. Oh my goodness. So poor SpongeBob got hit in the head again. Look at that big bump. You okay, SpongeBob? Asked Sandy. Just a bit of a headache, Sandy, answered SpongeBob. Well, time to go to work. Oh my goodness. What happened? He remembered his name and he remembered he has a job at the Krusty Krab, right? So his memory, is it still gone? No, right? His memory came back. This is awesome. Patrick, Sandy, and Mr. Krabs all jumped with excitement. They were thrilled to have him back. Okay, so let's check our prediction. Did you predict that he was going to stay in Bikini Bottom, or did you predict that he was going to go back to New Kelp City? I'm sure none of you were able to predict that he was going to get his memory back. And if you did predict that, that's pretty awesome. Alrighty, so let's see what happens next. Everybody was so happy that SpongeBob was back home. Order up, he called cheerfully from behind the window of the Krusty Krab kitchen. Things were finally back to normal in Bikini Bottom. Right? So his friends are happy he's back. SpongeBob is happy he's back, right? He realizes that he's very important to his friends. Of course, Squidward is still angry, but he's always upset, right? Okay, and that is the end of the story. So I hope you enjoyed the story about SpongeBob losing his memory. And like I said, it does happen sometimes, right? Except SpongeBob did not go to the doctor, right? Which is kind of dangerous. So please, I encourage you, if you ever fall down and hurt your head, your brother, your sister, your mom, or your dad, they have to go to the doctor because the doctor needs to make sure you are okay and to make sure that you won't have a situation like SpongeBob here where you lose your memory because it's a very scary thing. You don't remember your name, who your mom or your dad are, your brother or your sisters, where you live, your friends, nothing. Very, very scary. So, there's a couple of extensions here. Okay. Imagine you are SpongeBob and you lost your memory. How would you feel? What would you do? Okay. You can draw a picture or you can write about it. Okay. The other thing I want you to consider is in the beginning of the story, right? SpongeBob was causing a lot of issues for his friends and he didn't mean to, right? Can you think of certain situations where you were just trying to be nice to your friends and maybe you got them mad or upset? Or if your brother or sister, your mom or your dad? I'm sure you could think of certain things that maybe you did that you didn't realize you were being, annoying to them or bothering them. You could either draw or write about it, okay? The other thing I want you guys to think about is to try and remember, speaking of memory, what caused SpongeBob to lose his memory? Draw a picture of it or you can write about it, okay? Following up with that, what caused SpongeBob to get his memory back? You can draw a picture or you can write about it as well, okay? And then the other extension is what was not allowed in Kelp City when SpongeBob first got there. What were they not allowed to do? Again, draw a picture or write about it. And then how did that change or who changed it and how? Okay, remembering details, recalling details is really important in helping us become really good readers, okay? Especially when we're reading a story about somebody losing his memory. Okay. And the last thing I want you to think about, can you remember a time that maybe you forgot something? Right? We forget things all the time. Oh, you left the TV on. Whoops, I forgot. Oh, you left your video game. Oops, I forgot. Oh, I left my keys in the door, right? I forgot to turn off the stove. Hopefully that doesn't happen. That's very dangerous. Thinking of examples here, right? Oh, I left the water running after I finished brushing my teeth. Or I left the lights on in the car. We always are forgetting things. what is something that you have forgotten? It could be something recently that you forgot. Okay? Draw a picture or write about it. Or if you can't remember something that you've done, is there something that your brother or your sister, your mom or your dad, grandma, grandpa, whoever you live with, or even your friends, something that they forgot to do? Okay, draw and write about it. And then lastly, a lot of times we forget things, we lose things, right? So if a situation like that happens, like let's say, oh, I forgot where I put my hat and I need it to go outside, right? How can you help your family or your friends remember what they did with it? Because that's also really important. When somebody loses their memory, it's important to help them try to remember. And you could show them pictures and songs and videos and anything possible, right? So how would you help one of your friends or your family members if they lost something? How would you help them remember where it is? Okay? Alrighty, so that'll about do it for tonight's read aloud. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you try not to forget things. It's really important to keep your memory sharp. And yeah, that'll about do it for tonight. So, of course, continue staying happy, continue being kind, stay blessed as always. Thank you again so much for all the love and support from my new subscribers. And if you are just joining us for the first time today, I hope you enjoyed. And please make sure you are liking and subscribing if you want notifications when I post the videos every day. Okay? All right, guys, take it easy. Thank you. Bye bye.